Alrighty guys, IPTL semifinals starting off already very far. Top left corner for IM, it's going to be First. Very far bottom right corner from Team Evil Geniuses is Revival himself.
That's right. So Revival, the newest member of Evil Geniuses, and the newer members of EG have been used quite often in these Team League situations. They've obviously built themselves a very strong Zerg core, starting way back in the day with Idra Machine, moving on now to Stefano, Revival, J-Dong. I mean, the hits just keep on coming.
Yeah, the recent additions have just been absolutely strong. You mean, of course, J-Dong, Revival, both players that were really strong, and they were hoping that would propel them in the Pro League. Unfortunately, not working out for them as much as they would like. But in our team leagues, it really worked out for them. J-Dong scoring a few wins, Revival scoring a few wins as well when it comes to this type of format. So, you know, Pro League's not working out too well for EGTL overall, but around the leagues and for the most part, great pickup for the team.
You know, this is also their first exposure to Pro League as well for the teams themselves. So I expect EGTL is going to pick up as we move along. But you know, I mean, whether it happens this season, obviously we're starting to get pretty late there. It's but I think they're going to have a turnaround as they get more used to things. Their combined power is pretty astounding right now. I mean, Taisha, despite his wrist injuries and everything like that, and the de-emphasis of him in team leagues, is still obviously a dominant player. His semifinals in Code S. So I still think they have the talent. It's just got to come along.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, it's just a different type of format Pro League is. Those players out there are used to studying for people and just preparing for a matchup to the most. It's been 15 to 16 hours preparing for one game. So it's just really different with these players also playing in GSL, doing our team league. And again, EGTL is going to get around and start winning there. But here in the IPTL, again, down here in the bottom right corner, we had that 15 pull going for Revival, trying to grab this hatchery. First doing a really good job of annoying around here, trying to do his best to not take any free hits, really. And going to deny it once more here. And you can see the real annoyance here for Revival. Look at that, starting to hit around 450 minerals at this point. And we'll finally get the hatchery, but that was delayed a good, oh, what, 15 seconds? Yeah. And that was just a pure pain in the rear.
That's right. Should pop up right around the 3-minute mark, just before actually that second hatchery. So delayed for a little while by First, who himself went for Nexus first behind this. No surprises, Forge, second pylon, Gateway coming up afterwards, and just getting ready for that eventual first photon cannon to be able to ward off any sort of Zerglings that duck their way across the map.
I'm interested to see what First will be going for. I was watching his all-kill matches earlier today, and he really seems to favor heavy Stargate play against Zerg. He likes to go Void Ray Observer and clear out creep if you're going for the late game. Yep. He does open some Phoenix play here and there, but the other part is when he wants to do aggression, he'll do some kind of early Gateway, 3-gate harass a little bit with a couple of Zealots, a couple of Sentries, not meant to really do too much damage, and then follow that up, because most of the time when you have that aggression happen and you don't kill off your opponent's third hatchery, they'll counterattack.
Wait, what was that? Zergling, what are you doing? You had a perfect opportunity there. So, unfortunately, the Zergling's going to die to the probe. It snuck on by, had an opportunity to get into the main. Not that anything would have been seen that this Overlord isn't currently looking at, but I'm still surprised it didn't tuck itself in behind the mineral line and just wait to be annoying to the probes that were sitting around there.
Yeah, I think Revival perhaps thought a probe was sitting at that wall, because normally there is, so just kind of gave up on it. Yeah. And unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. But you know, it happens. Revival moving into his third hatchery at the same point, just droning up at the moment. Got his queens out already, and at this point, we're just be building up into what we want to go into. And I'm just curious to see if we're going to have First go for the Sentry Immortal and that you normally see on Ohana, because it is a strong play, but as I was mentioning earlier, he doesn't really do it that often compared to most Protoss players.
Just to point out, in case it's not immediately obvious, yesterday, of course, we did a Heart of the Swarm Fight Club between Creator and Polt. This is obviously Wings of Liberty. Yeah. As we're ending our IPTL season, it is the final season, which will take place in Wings of Liberty. So just for those of you who have been watching a lot of Heart of the Storm content, you can kind of mentally prepare yourself for the kind of strategies that you'll see. Ducking back into the game, though, no real surprise out of both players. We would expect gas sometime shortly here for Revival, and there it goes right down over at the natural, just as I say that. Only going for 2 gas for now. Sometimes when you build up to like 45, 50 drones, or 45, 50 supply before actually going for gas, sometimes you'll see Zerg players go for 3 at a time to kind of jumpstart their way to layer a bit quicker. Yeah,
Revival is one of those players that likes to take gas on the later side. He likes to have a really strong ground army in the early game just to make sure they can deny scouting. And really just when he gets to the mid game, gets lair tech, he can start powering up then a good minute or so afterwards. He just wants to make sure that he has a nice amount of links so he never goes too crazy on gas so he can have those minerals constantly stacking up for him.
Well, you know, we were talking about the possibility of an Immortal Sentry all-in before, and it's still certainly a possibility, although maybe not as likely at this stage of the game. We do have sentries popping up, but the way that structures actually went down, down. First decided to go for that robotics facility after he had been mining off gas 3 and 4 for a while. Sometimes you only see 3 gas and then going right for a little bit more aggressive play afterwards. We'll see what his follow-up structures are going to be. 3 more gateways on the way, going to put him on a total of 4, and we'll see if we get any structures after that.
All right, well, for Revival, we have moved into the lair, got the Roach Warren on the way, starting at +1 Evolution Chamber. When the Evolution Chamber finishes up, he'll get +1. Moving into speed, and this is the point where you start moving into all those upgrades, and there we go. 3 gateways on the way, plus a Twilight Council here for First.
Yeah, so it looks like he is going to take things a little bit slower for now, and maybe get a couple additional upgrades and just wait for a while. But you can see he's breaking down the destructible rocks, he's creating multiple observers, so any sort of Sentry Immortal all-in is at the very least going to be put on hold. First, though, had decent control of the map, but Revival's done a good job, even though he's lost a few Zerglings, by just being pesky, getting out there, making sure the Xel'Naga towers aren't easily taken by First, as sometimes you'll see Zerg players get lazy a little bit and just kind of say, okay, well, you have the Xel'Naga tower, I'm not going to spend any lings to take it back from you. Yeah,
and he's constantly been replenishing those lings, too. He's had about 6 to 8 out at all times. If there was a time where First killed off a couple of lings, he would create another batch, just to make sure he had enough to deal with the Stalker in case there was a potential surround happening, which forces First to really focus on that Stalker, or make him come back to the natural so he can work on macros. So really smart play there from Revival. All right, and so First now, moving into that third, there is Overlord spreading some creep, but it shouldn't get the full creep spread there if he moves straight away, and yes, he will. And at that point, First will be able to get to his expansion very quickly.
It's still pretty far, though, and Revival's just going to sacrifice this Overlord so that creep gets out there just a little bit further. That's still another 20 or 30 seconds that this actually ends up getting delayed. At the same time, you can see Revival's making his way across the map with a lot of Speedlings, a lot of Roaches, because as soon as that base goes up, he wants to be there to be able to instantly deny it.
All right, and behind this, he has moved into an Infestation Pit, so if there is a counterattack from First, if he denies it long enough, then Revival should be able to hold off any pressure that does come his way, so nice choice there. Yeah, just poking and prodding here, going to leave a Ling, and once that Ling sees the Immortal overextended at any point, Revival will just go all in, dive straight on top of that Immortal and try and kill it off. At that point, the Roaches should be able to finish up anything that's in the way, so First needs to be very careful when it comes to this expansion.
Now, the one thing that Revival hasn't done a whole lot of, he is expanding across the map, he's taking good gas, his tech is in order now, he's starting to get everything really hitting for late game mass Zerg. He could actually go for that approach, which is nothing but just swarms and swarms of units through the mid game to try and hold his opponent in while he takes 5-6 bases, something like that. But, okay, there's Pathogen Glands, there we have a Spire, and eventually we may even see a Hive. But he is a little bit susceptible to some sort of a large amount of pressure here relatively soon, as a lot of tech of his is coming online, and at the moment, First does actually have better upgrades and a better army.
Well, First is getting aggressive. You can see grabbing that Xel'Naga, and this is just a ploy to secure his third, really. And Revival, again, was just doing a ploy as well, keeping some units up in the top right corner, and that forced First to at least get a couple more Immortals on the field and a few Zels into the mix before he can actually take that third. So he slowed down that expansion by a good minute and a half just by being there. So nice play there from Revival. Ooh, a blink forward from First will catch off a couple of Lings. And with that, Revival gets a spot on the army, though, and gets an idea of the upgrades. And he realizes, okay, I can't really get into a full engagement right now. I'm just going to sit back, make sure I get some more Infestors out, make sure my Spire finishes up, and at that point, I can start moving into Broodlord tech. As long as I can live for about another minute and a half, I should be able to deal with First pretty handedly.
Surprised that we don't have more creep spread than we already have at the moment, though. That's the one thing Revival's kind of been lacking on at this stage of the game. Everything else is looking good for him. He's taking the appropriate risk in terms of tech and stuff like that. You talked about wanting to have a strong ground army. He's certainly got that. A lot of Lings on the map, though, and if any splash damage were to hit relatively soon, those would be quickly countered, but we'll see if he can get any damage done with those in the meantime. But yeah, the creep spread's not really there for him, and that's something that First can actually take advantage of. He's going to be able to have a lot better positioning through these open passageways in the middle of Ohana.
Oh, he needs to be careful here. He's going to go straight right on in. The force field's kind of decent there from First. Could have been a little bit on the better side, but the Zealots will deal with the Lings pretty quickly. They almost have +3, only +2 right now, but now Roach is being left, and they will be dispatched up very quickly. Revival gets away with the majority of his Roaches, though, so that works out. The thing is, he's remaxing on Lings once again. He had 46 on the way, and we already have Colossus deck on the way.
Right.
Yeah, you can't just remax on Lings right away. He's getting some Corruptors in at the same time, but I'm really afraid for the army for Revival. I feel like First could win it with just a couple of great force fields.
I have to agree with you, especially with the Colossus present, as you said before. However, a lot of units make their way directly up the ramp here into the natural. The Colossus is taking a lot of damage. First has done a good job of microing this back, but he can't quite keep it alive. All the Immortals have survived throughout this entire process, though, starting to rack up a massive amount of kills. And once again, he does get the kill of the Colossus, yes, but Revival just threw away a ton of resources for that.
So sick from First. You saw him just sidestep with his 5 Stalkers and snipe all the Infestors immediately. That stops chain fungling from happening, which means you can micro better with your Zealots and get your Immortals into the right position. Well done by First with that engagement. He baited his Colossus, pulled it back into the natural, and overall just was able to kill everything off Revival. A perfect exchange for him. I would take that Colossus over that whole entire army any day.
Yep.
Great job there from First. And still, this third has not been touched in terms of economy.
And once again, it caused Revival to produce a massive amount of Zerglings. And every time that Revival remaxes on Zerglings or produces a significant quantity of them, the less and less effectiveness they actually have. So we have exactly 2 full pages sitting here, 48 with another 38 on the way. And even just a couple of Colossi with some charge lots in there to absorb some damage is going to be plenty enough. And in fact, we don't have any Colossi whatsoever. It's going to be all charge lots and Archons for now.
Yeah, he has to keep remaxing on Lings, though, because he wants to move into Broodlord, so he has to start saving gas up right now. And you see it starting to finally pick up because he was building a lot of roaches in the mid-game, so that gas count was always kept low because he was still teching at the same time, so he never got really that many units out, except for maybe 4 or 5 Infestors. And at this point, he's just trying to save up the money. His Greater Spire is about to finish up, but First has had a feeling for this. He's moving out across the middle of the map. There is a counterattack happening, and as long as First doesn't bite, he should be okay. I would rather him go for a straight-up attack into his opponent.
That is a lot of economic damage that's being done by those whole position Zerglings. A massive amount, as a matter of fact, but this is not pulling First back home. He is going to go for this, ducking straight into the third. There's nothing here to defend this whatsoever. That should be an easy hatchery kill. He's going to reserve 2 Archons there to take that out and send the rest of the army into the natural, where everything is poised. Looks like he was finally held off back at home. Didn't kill a Nexus, just all the workers that were sitting on that base.
All right, so now we have First moving up, and that was really smart with the Archons as well, leaving them on the back, so in case Lings did come in from behind, they would get killed off pretty quickly. There's no counterattack available. Revival trying to get Spine Crawlers up, but First is too darn quick here. We'll be killing them off as fast as possible. Lings stuck in a choke as well. Revival is just looking dead here. He's trying to get a few Infested Terrans out. Won't really help out too much. Archons moving forward at the same time. Units in the natural. It's going to be GG, man.
Yeah, it looks like it, as Revival's world is coming down around him, unfortunately. But First putting IM off to a great start here, just crashing his way through the fourth, crashing his way through, well, pretty much everything. How many workers have been killed now? 44 in total this entire game. Economic disparity is pretty great. Multiple hatcheries down. It looks like Revival's just trying to sit back and hope that he can win with these Broodlords. Blinkstalker's coming in from around the side, though, and these Broodlords are being picked off one by one.
So smart. First took 2 Stalkers. Okay, well, let's watch the Broodlords die off first, as focusing him down, and yes, they will all be killed off, and that's got to be GG there from Revival. Yes, it is called. Congratulations to First, man, taking the first victory for LG-IM.
Yeah, really, really convincing win, too. I mean, Revival did some really cool things.
Yeah.
I liked his greedy approach in terms of economy at the beginning. I think he didn't do near enough damage with his early Zergling Roach attack that he wanted to get done.
Yeah.
He basically had them all staged up, so, okay, I've delayed your third, now I'm going to kill it instantly. They did a really nice job with that, but he didn't do enough damage to justify the amount of resources he poured into it.
And on the other side, First did such a good job of baiting engagements into his own favor. Even at the end of the game there, when we had, what, 7, 8 Broodlords finish up, he took 2 Stalkers, blinked them forward to make the Lings all engage immediately, and then took the rest of his Stalkers and blinked over the Lings just to make it look, hey, I just used my whole cooldown, go ahead and engage on me. And Revival was completely fooled. That was such a good job from First, and we will be getting ready for game number 2. I don't know if he can keep it up, but he's playing very well.
Well, coming in next for Evil Geniuses is another Korean player. It's going to be Puma, the Terran. So we're going to run to a commercial break, and when we get back, it'll be PvT time here. To see what the map was, it'll be a surprise to everyone when we get back.